he's a judge.
Okay, we're waiting here just for a few more people, a few more minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
The Sanhedrin coming to appear before him as well, Rabbi Shepherd. And it was during that time that in this book, right here, he talks about when a man goes so deep into Kabbalah, he needs a wife. He needs a woman in his life, a wife in his life.
It's a balance.
And here's an interesting thing about it. In the book, he says, the woman, the wife, becomes a wall and a ring of fire around him.
Ring of fire. Isn't that Johnny Cash?
Yeah.
Down, 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 on a ring of fire.
That song. And you know what it was? He wrote it because he fell in love with the Carter girl.
Yeah.
And she was a ring of fire.
And this sure
Okay.
changed his life.
And he went down.
What happened to Lori?
The flames got
No,
higher.
she's coming back. She's on the phone.
You know,
Okay,
it's
fine.
Kabbalah. It's pure Kabbalah.
1 minute. 1 minute. People are online going,
Oh, are we online?
give me the goods. Yeah, and I've been listening to you about your ring of fire. Okay. About your ring of fire.
The song never took on that kind of meaning
Oh, yeah.
until I
Until you
read
saw
it
the
in
little-
Rabbi Shepherd's book. It is awesome. The ring of fire. Wow.
Well, she really transformed his life, though. She really did.
Oh, this is the most phenomenal book.
Because he was definitely going the wrong direction.
This it is absolutely amazing. Wow.
Women can either make a man or break him.
All right, here we go. Are we ready? Let's start. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Are we ready? Okay. Okay, so we're talking. This is the Creating Angels class, right? Class number 12.
12.
Thank you, God. We're talking about the most dynamic principle ever. From this principle, I definitely understand why when the Baal Shem Tov, in his unbelievable letter that he wrote to his student, actually his brother-in-law, never got there, the letter, but we do have this letter that was authenticated by him, and then he made his ascent. He made this out-of-body ascent on a Rosh Hashanah to the hall of the Messiah, and he went and he approached the soul of the Messiah where he saw the Messiah, and he said, when are you coming? And the Messiah said, when your teaching is spread abroad, okay? And people are practicing your teaching. Obviously, that's a huge thing when you think about it in terms of the Baal Shem Tov. So when I look at this rule, of course, I can definitely see how that if everybody were to understand this teaching, that everything is an ink blot. Because that's what we described yesterday. For those of you who were not last week's class, look at that ink blot there, okay? We say everything is an ink blot. And what do we mean by that? That means every single one of our experiences, we are bringing to it only coming from our own knowing. Only from our own limited experience, okay? If you never saw a duck-billed platypus, you'd never be able to look at an ink blot and say duck-billed platypus. You never, because you don't know what one is. So you'd never be able to say it. And so with everything like that, we're always bringing our own story. We're always reading in, projecting our own stuff onto all of the experiences of our lives. And the big proof of that, as we always have to go over constantly, is nobody experiences the same thing the same way. Okay? Everybody experiences something different. Okay? And so therefore, if nobody experiences the same thing the same way, it must be what I'm experiencing isn't coming from that thing itself. Okay? It doesn't come from the kid. It doesn't come from this. It doesn't come from that. It comes from only all of my previous programming. Okay? So now we're starting from the actual sources of the Holy Master, the Baal Shem Tov. Okay? And I think we're on page... Sorry, because I don't have it written. I didn't page number it. Sorry. I don't know which page number it is. It starts at the top, the cosmic mirror. Okay? The cosmic mirror. That's how it starts. You have it on your page? You got it. Okay. Yes. This rule comes from our very own founder of the Hasidic movement, the holy Baal Shem Tov. His name was actually Rabbi Yisrael ben Rabbi Eliezer. We call him, he's called the Besht for short, okay? Because Baal Shem Tov is like the Besht, if you would abbreviate it. May his merit protect us, Zechuso Yegein Aleinu, Amen. Okay? And this actually comes from the Baal Shem Tov in the Torah. That was where I was introduced to his Hasidic teachings, was that somebody put together, because the Baal Shem Tov never wrote anything. Actually, what happened was, you know, all of the students that he did teach, they all would had their own writings, and someone went through all of his writings and basically collected all of his teachings and put it together, and they put it together in the order of the Parsha of the Shavua, right? The order of the weekly Torah portion that they will read every week. But then there are other books that people did collect, make other collections, like Keter Shem Tov, Tzfat Rivash, there's other collections of his teachings, but he never actually wrote anything, okay? So the following are different excerpts and adaptations from his teachings, along with other sources in our holy writings, that will hopefully help the reader to integrate this deep, life-changing principle. So here's the first one, and we have actually taught in chapters of the Fathers called Pirkei Avot, the ethical teachings from Mount Sinai. And it says, it's the first Mishnah in chapter 4, it says, Ezehu ha-chacham, who is a wise man? And right? It goes through actually different 4 things. Who was a rich man? He was happy with his lot. Who was a wise man? Right? Ezu chacham, who is a wise man? Halomeid mikol adam, he who learns from every person. Okay? Now the question is, what do you mean learns from every person? What does that mean? How could you learn from people if you see somebody doing bad? What's to learn from? So he says like this, Al Pi Mashal, according to a parable. And this is what he brings from another place. It is impossible for a perfectly pure person who has absolutely no flaws to see any blemish in anyone, nor to hear about anyone doing any evil. This is where it goes to another level, okay? In other words, if a person is perfectly pure, he will never see anybody doing anything wrong. Maybe somebody did something wrong in front of him. It won't affect him. He won't see it. For some reason, it just won't come to his vision, okay? He'll see something else. Or no one will come and tell him some bad thing that somebody did, some lashon hara, as we say, okay? He won't hear it. It won't enter into his ears, okay? Obviously, when you think about such a line, you have to take a step back. And you're going, whoa, right? And a person looks at his own life and he says, whoa. Because how many times have we seen faults in other people, blemishes in other people, people doing evil things? And they now, even now more so, we're completely, I think I wrote in the note, take it easy, right?
You did.
Take it easy. Because why do we have to take it easy? Okay? Because it could be overwhelming. Because the biggest question when we learn this is, wait a minute, does this does this extend to everybody? Right? What about Saddam Hussein? Okay? Right? And all those people, right? Because now that the world these days is very, very globalized, in the days of the Baal Shem Tov, you know, you had to have prophetic vision in order to see what was happening in the world, right? From their little village where they were, their little town of Medjugorje, they didn't have internet, they didn't have Wi-Fi in Medjugorje, right? 250 years ago. So in any case, now it goes even more global. So God will not bring before their eyes somebody who's perfectly pure, any evil, or that this person should hear any evil. Therefore, at the flip side of it, when a person sees someone who's doing something wrong, or if he hears before him concerning a certain person who did such and such evil act, he should know clearly that he has within him that same blemish himself. These were his words, okay? Even if the person seeing or hearing is very saintly, in any case, he has a subtle aspect of that same blemish or flaw. Okay? That's the big rule. Okay? Take a deep breath. So that means when you're seeing somebody, some kind of blemish or something, that means you're just looking in a mirror, and really it's your own flaw. But it's in another form or another degree, and then the person really, instead of getting reactive, instead of blaming, they have to say, okay, why am I experiencing this? Why am I having this negative experience? Must be there's something inside of me that has such and such a thing to some degree or some form, and I have to look at it inside myself. Really, that's where you just have to pray for it. Okay? Yes?
That's the purpose of the wife being the mirror.
Ezer Kenegdo. Correct. He says that right here.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what the language is. The language of, let's say, a husband and wife.
That's the ring of fire.
A ring of fire. Doesn't have to be fire. Sometimes fire you get warmed up, and sometimes it burns. Okay? Don't touch that fire. Don't touch that fire. It brings down, I will make him an Ezer Kenegdo. I'll make for a man an Ezer Kenegdo, a help meet against him. Help meet, help, helper, against. They don't go really together. Help is one thing, against is not necessarily helping, right? But, so the classic understanding is, if a man is zoiche, that's the language in Hebrew, zoche. Zoche means merits. That's how they literally, loosely translate it, but that's literally not the deeper translation. The real translation is zacha, which means he's cleansed, he's pure. If he's pure, she's a helper. But if he's impure, she's kenegdo, she's against him. In other words, she'll always point out, okay, right, his flaws. And then it's up to the man, of course, to him to be humble enough, right? He's got to go read Garden of Peace, the men's, right? To understand that every single word that comes out of her mouth is prophecy. Yeah, tell the men that. What? Yeah. Are you crazy? No way. Prophecy? Get out. If you would look at it like that, and then you got to understand because you know something, when you're in Amunah, everything is coming from God. The messages from your wife, the messages from the guy in the marketplace, in the fish market. Every message is coming to you in the most subtlest of ways, especially if it's a screaming woman. Go do this, do that, do that, do that. Okay? So the idea really is it's Ezer Kenegdo. It helps, but it's against. Okay, but here the Baal Shem Tov is bringing a different understanding. Kenegdo obviously is like a mirror. It is a cosmic mirror. She is mirroring to you your own faults. Okay? But here's where it goes to much greater things. Okay? It's like I said, when I teach this to people, they sometimes fall out of their chair. Most people ask me to repeat it again because it's like, no. And then, of course, most people, after you walk away from telling them this, they completely forget about it as soon as they leave that door. Okay? And they're back into the world of reaction, right? Cause and effect, blaming, and never saying, at the end of the day, I had such and such and such an experience. Where's about in me that I need to change? Okay? If my day was less than perfect. Yes?
So when a man says, it's my wife's fault, it's really his fault.
It's absolutely his fault. It's absolutely the man's fault.
Yeah.
I remember there was a book that came out not hundreds of years ago. When I was first in yeshiva, a book came out. Fantastic book on relationships, the Jewish view of relationships. And I bought that book, and I thought it was great. I thought it was great stuff because really I shouldn't be sharing this in an outward public, but I think everybody says it. The man sets the tone. Yeah. He should be responsible for setting the tone. If he doesn't, he's at fault. Yes. And okay, so the idea, but anyways, my friend saw this book. He says, no, it's too one-sided, man. Of course, he was married to a crazy woman. Okay. See, he couldn't accept responsibility. He couldn't accept responsibility. He's it's too one-sided. Blames it all on the man. So anyways,
when he looked at her, he was going, "You're driving me crazy."
It was more than that, my friend. It was way more than driving me crazy. Driving me crazy could be a fun thing. Okay? It could be good, go worse. Just take it easy. Okay?
Oh my word.
But the idea really here is, for man, the thing he has to be humble, and he has to realize everything, and it's not just his wife. It's not just his wife is a mirror. And it goes even more. There's another place, I don't know if I brought it here in this book, but a leader, like a Jewish leader, are really clear mirrors. They're super clear reflections. In other words, everybody who sees in the tzaddik, they see a flaw in the tzaddik, and it's so clear, it's so their own fault, right? It so reflects them. It's such a clear reflection, okay? Okay, so in any case, so lots to work on. If a person would just think about that and integrate it into his life, so hopefully the next pages we're going to try to integrate that and see where at different places it comes out. Okay? But of course we're referring here as what he referred to in the beginning of the sentence about the perfectly pure person. He says, now these types of people, of pure people, are very hard to come by. I have heard of people who pass away at a very old age, well over 100. When asked how the person lived, all those who knew them would respond with comments such as they never had a bad word to say about anybody. Right? Some people say that when they were with that person, they felt that they were their favorite. Right? Like I said, though, these people are very few. Okay? Most people's grandparents, great-grandparents, right? They don't make them like that anymore. And I'm praying that I become somebody like that, but so far I'm just seeing myself as being a grumpy old man. Okay? Feisty. Yeah. For the rest of us down here in this world, the implication is obvious. If you do see blemishes in others, you have those same blemishes in another form or in some other degree. And this is the understanding of the phrase, who is a wise man? He who learns from everybody. Who is a wise man? He who learns from everybody. That means if you see the flaws in others, they are your flaws. And God is sending you a personal message for growth and change. Okay? Ezer Kenegdo. Okay? You got to have someone else showing you, and it's so subtle. And if you'd learn and change, then you wouldn't need a bigger message. We're supposed to be sensitized to the subtle messages of those people. And then we go, okay, I see that. And then, okay, I'm going to change. Because if you don't see that message and hear the message, then this louder message comes, and closer and louder and closer and harsher, till it ends up being a punch in the face. Okay? Hopefully not. Okay? Because it's all a part of like, it's time to wake up. Little Eliyahu. Time to wake up. For example, this is the classic example. I wrote it down. If I had the experience of someone stealing, does that imply that I'm a thief, right? I don't steal, right? I'm not a thief. But yet, you have that same blemish. It's got to be in another form or degree, right? It sounds absurd, right? You're learning from every man. How do I learn from a thief? I asked my one teacher that. And you know what his answer was? Crime doesn't pay. Okay? He didn't read the Baal Shem Tov. Okay? This sounds absurd for sure. How do I learn from someone if I saw someone stealing? But according to the rules of divine providence, it is true. But the stealing I'm involved in is in some other form or degree. A person must check himself out. Perhaps he's stealing sleep by building a sukkah on his patio 2 a.m. and waking his neighbors. Happened to me. Happened to me. Yeah, you go live in Israel. There's a custom, actually, it brings it down in the Mishnah Berurah, that you know after Yom Kippur you're so enthusiastic about doing God's will and being attached to God. So people want to, he says it's a good thing to go and build your sukkah or do something towards building your sukkah. Motzi Yom Kippur, that's after Yom Kippur, that night after you broke your fast, you ate a little something. Go do a mitzvah. So the biggest suggestion is do something towards building the sukkah, because that's the next big mitzvahs that are coming is sukkah after Yom Kippur. So of course it's the custom for people to start building at 2 a.m. in the morning in the patio just above mine with a chainsaw, with a circular saw. Okay, at 2 a.m. And I had to go, dude. I had to like wake. Dude, it's 2 a.m. Like I got kids here, dude. I didn't do it like that. I had to do it in Hebrew. No. Okay.
Is that dude in Hebrew?
Yeah. Okay. Perhaps in a subtle way. So that's like, sorry, that's my personal example. People want to do a mitzvah and they're waking up their neighbors. You can't do that. Right? Perhaps in a very subtle way, he's not considerate of others' time when he cuts in line. The famous, what's it called? The chat and cut. The chat and cut. Hey, I haven't seen you in such a while. They take a plate in the big, long buffet line, right? I had to chat and cut, right? Got busted. Some people get busted in that. Hey, okay? But you're cutting in line, and that could save some, because some people, you don't know what everybody's story is in a line. It could be somebody's got to just eat and run, or whatever. You don't know what people's stories are. Maybe stealing peace of mind from himself. There's another thing called Genevas Das. I don't know if we have it so much anymore, but in those days, if you walk into a store and lead the person on as if you're going to buy something in the store, and then you decide not to buy, you're stealing mind from the person. Lead on. Nowadays, they know that you could walk away any moment. It's kind of like a granted kind of thing. Or if you just tell the person, I'm just looking. Right? So then they know they're not going to invest in you. But if you're leading somebody, investing a lot of time in them, and then you go, no, and you walk out, dude, you took their time, energy. You're taking people's time and energy. People don't think that when they're going to meet somebody and then they come late. That's stealing time. Those are serious. What?
Or don't show up at all.
Oh, right. So you stole somebody's time and energy. People have to be very sensitive about that, right? So the Baal Shem Tov is saying that when he sees faults in others, it is likened to one who looks in the mirror and sees his blemish. So too, one who sees a blemish in his friend must know that he himself has that blemish in some other form or degree. So, a person sees a blemish in the mirror, the solution should not be to go get a hammer and chisel and start bashing the blemish out of the mirror, which is what most people do. The blame game, right? It's you. It's your fault. You got to change. You have to change, right? That's like mom is trying to chisel it out of the mirror. Okay? When are we going to get it? When are we going to get it? Okay, go. You got a burning question, Lori.
It is burning.
Good.
So
I like burning.
This happened in my marriage.
Like a ring of fire.
I looked at my husband and I was perturbed for a number of years early in our marriage. And then I started realizing, all of that is my stuff too. And so I started working on all that. And I've got probably 80% of that. I don't want to say perfected, there's no such thing, but I've come to where I don't blame anybody else for stuff. I take responsibility. I apologize when I make a mistake. He hasn't started anything. So, okay, is he supposed to
now you know the rule. You know the rule. You know the rule. The rule is, once again, you're never going to change anybody. You change yourself.
I don't want to be the one to do it.
But obviously there's a hook there of when is he going to start?
Yeah.
Okay? That you've been holding on to 30 years.
Yeah.
Never going to happen. I lovingly accept him with all of his wonderful blemishes. You know why? I'm used to it. It's like it becomes part of the act and part of the role and part of the script. It's the most beautiful thing, symphony ever. The greatest line I saw was in Good Will Hunting. A lot of good lines in there.
Yeah.
But one good line was when he was talking about his wife. Robin Williams was talking about his wife who deceased. And who was the other actor there? I forgot his name, whatever. The guy who was talking to him, the client, right? He was going like, what about her faults? What about she did this? Did she do this? Did she just... And he would just smile and he said, those were the best parts. Those are the best parts. because it was just that's just part of the routine. You just, you know, that's you. There you go again. Now I'm also in the process. We're all in a process here of like, there she goes. There it goes again, right?
Not Damon.
There you go. Thank you. There it goes. I go into my same. There they go. That's it. Work. That's his role. He's playing his role. And you got to go right. You go, Baruch Hashem. Thank you, God. Okay? Thank you.
He started telling me that he tells others.
But
What?
He doesn't put it to action.
He told me a story about how he was talking to somebody and that person was upset with him about something, and he told that person, "My wife says I should apologize more."
Oh, he blames you. Okay.
No. He blamed me. He fessed up that he's not good at apologizing to a person he owed an apology to.
Oh, so that's how he did it?
That's how.
Well, at least he wasn't
never
eating
said
cashews
word.
while he was
He
apologizing.
still can't
He
say
was
it.
looking
Those
in the
words
mirror.
just, it's like he's allergic.
My wife's,
to that.
okay, fine. Listen, everybody has,
He looked in the mirror.
everybody's got challenges.
Right.
Everybody's got challenges.
He looked in the
Yeah.
mirror.
You've got the challenge. It's just only a higher level is waiting for you. It's just a higher level is waiting for
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Okay? Just the higher, you're invited to a higher level. Thank you, Hashem, for inviting me to a higher level of consciousness where I can rejoice in every single one of those idiosyncrasies. Okay? I can rejoice.
Indulging me.
Really?
Okay? Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Okay? Sees the blemish in the mirror.
He looked in the mirror.
Okay, really, going on. Really, he must fix it in himself. Don't bash the mirror. He must fix it in himself, and once he does that, he won't see the blemish in that person. Now, there's the other flip side of the rule. You won't see it.
So I haven't fixed it.
You haven't fixed it.
Because
Because you're still a little nerve. You got a nerve working somewhere in there. Okay? Even if it's the slightest nerve, it doesn't matter. An upset is an upset. My father always teaches. It could be a huge, massive, and you're just, right, on fire, right? Or it could just be the slightest. It doesn't matter. Upset is an upset. You got to deal with it. You got to work on it. Okay? So once you see it, you got, then once you fix it and address it and affix it, you won't see it in that person anymore. You won't see it. Okay? Or either the person will be out of your life altogether, or he will just see him differently. Okay? All right? Skip the note, okay, because I spoke about that. Okay? An actual story is told about the Baal Shem Tov. He was once in a place where he eyewitnessed people who were profaning the holy Shabbos day. He was shocked that God had brought him such an experience and began contemplating. He sat going over his entire life thinking, where have I ever profaned the holy Shabbos? Because he's never broke Shabbos. He finally discovered that at one time he asked a Talmudic scholar to perform some menial task. And he recalled that the Torah calls the rabbinic scholars with the nickname of Shabbos. Scholars are called Shabbos. So just like you're not allowed to profane the actual Shabbos by doing work on the Shabbos, you're not allowed to profane a Talmud scholar because he's like a Shabbos. You're not allowed to get him to do mundane work. Okay? Okay? So, therefore, he concluded that's where his blemish lies. And so that he was using a scholar in a less honorable way. So that's where he saw his reflection. And that's a deep thing. How are you supposed to know that? You got to know all the entire Talmud to go ahead and figure that one out. Don't worry, Hashem is user-friendly. He will help you if you pray. Where's my blemish? Where is it in me? Hashem, please help me to see it. It might take a day. It might take 2 days. It might take 3 days. It might take a week. It might take it. But you got to keep on the question and keep focused on it. And then Hashem, I guarantee you, He will show you. He will show you where your blemish is. Okay? Where it is, you have to change. Okay?
I always pray to stop seeing
Okay, that's the thing. Obviously, Hashem is showing to you because there's something in your mentality that you need to reconcile with. Okay, there's something in your consciousness that Hashem keeps showing it to you. Okay, and this is also the same reason why people who go in and out of relationships, they tend to even almost zero in on somebody with the exact same problems as their ex-wife, and it's their third or fourth marriage, and it's like every single wife had this problem. I had this, gee, well, let's look at the source, okay? So, people do that. This is common, okay? I remember teaching this, right? Did I do this? All right. I remember teaching this point to a group of teens one time, and the top student of the class, she came to me actually, and she says, "No, I don't buy it, don't agree at all, can't accept this at all." And then she came a week later, right? A week later, Mama, she says, unbelievable. She waited till after the class and sat. She told me this story. She was in her car. She's driving with her car, talking about a friend of hers, and some kind of complaint that her friend does this and that and this, and her mom just outright said, "That's you," and her mom said, "Because this, and this." Okay, that was an easy one. Okay, for her. But boom, smacked her right in the face. And she came a week later and she says, "I admit it. Even though I didn't buy it, now I buy it. I buy it." Okay? It's until you try it, you're not going to buy it. That's the problem. People have to really do it. It's weird as it goes because I've been teaching this for years. And people will walk away. They'll either forget about it or, it's somewhere subtle in the back of their head somewhere. Right? Yeah, but it's not really fully integrated because when the upset happens, everybody goes into instant reactive mode and blame game. Okay? Right? If you see cruelty, I am cruel in some other form or some other degree. Whatever it is you see, experiencing someone obnoxious, guess what? You're obnoxious. Lazy? That's right, you're lazy. In another form or another degree. Like my teenage son who can't get out of bed till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay? Wow, what a lazy guy. There's another form, I am lazy. I have to find out where I'm lazy. Until I found it and dealt with it, then I'm going to continue to see this problem. Okay? Whatever it is that you are experiencing. Okay? I don't know if I brought this story. Sometimes people get sick of this story. I don't know if I brought it later on. It's an old story. I'll just share with you. Okay? I lived in a settlement out in the Judean desert. After we first got married. I had a little caravan, little trailer. It was great. And, the settlements, things get hot politically. Just like you see how things get hot here politically. It's even, but in Israel, it's double politics. And even in a little settlement, it's triple politics. It's very heated. So so me and my wife, we decided we're going to go away for a Shabbos. So we went away for a Shabbos. We decided, okay, we're going to go 3 weeks from now. We're going to go away. And then after we arranged we're going to go away this Shabbos, so then they came out with elections are going to be Saturday night when we're going to be away. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can make an early ballot. Right? I can early vote. Got to make an early vote, right? About who's going to be like the head of the whole community. They're like 3 leaders. Who's going to be the leaders? And they say, okay, but there's what's called the Vada Kalfi, which is like the voting board. Got it? 3 people of the voting board. You just got to get consignment from those 3, and you can do it, right? So I went to one. He says, sure, by me. You got to go ask Mendel. You got to go ask Mendel. So Mendel was the sheriff of the town, right? He was the town sheriff, right? Out there in Israel, in the Judean desert. And he was really known for being a real nice guy. Right? Really strict, real heavy. Right? And I go to him and I say, I want to make an early vote. And he goes, no, absolutely not. You have to come back on Saturday night. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like 4 hours away. There's no way I'd be able to make it back. Shabbos ends at late, and there's no way. Then you lost. Wouldn't do it. Would not budge. I left there. I remember I'm walking down the street. I'm looking at the stars. I'm going, whoa, where am I so rigid? Where am I so rigid? And I say, please, you got to show me. You got to show me. I always thought I was like a casual California dude, right? Are those tonight's?
Yes.
Thank you.
22 copies.
Awesome. Thank you. And then finally what happened was, I think the next day or two, me and my wife, since we lived in like a trailer, probably about maybe the size of this plus the office, our living quarters, and the sink was just basically, very small. We made an agreement with each other that in order to keep the place tidy, as soon as you would use a plate or fork, or you wash it, put it away. Of course, I get home from Kollel in my early days, and I guess what I find in the sink, right? I find the dishes in the sink, and I start going, right? I go, I got it. I got it. I got it. I go, thank you, God. I got it. So I say, I'm just going to let it go. I decided to let it go. And something would happen? You know what happened? The weirdest thing happened. That guy who was a you-know-what to everybody else, to me, he was always cool. Like if I needed to switch a night because we had to do guard duty. You had to, every month you had to do guard duty. You had to wake up at 2 a.m. and go ahead and circle the perimeter. So, sometimes if I had to switch a night or something, a lot of people he screamed at. You'd hear screaming him all the time. People coming to him screaming all the time, this guy. Every time I come to him, yeah. Always soft.
What you end up doing about the vote?
About the what?
Vote.
No, forget it. I lost it. We let it go. I let it go. I let everything go. So anyways, okay. It's okay. It's okay. But I noticed that. It was like, dude. I went to him with something and I was expecting him to scream at me. He did not scream at me. I was the one dude he didn't scream at. I was like, well, that's weird. Okay? In any case, when you change it in yourself, you don't see it anymore in the person. Or they won't behave with you. God is very, very big. Okay? If you fix your own blemish, and the reason why he's showing you those faults is only for us to correct ourselves.
He saw you, he saw himself as you as a mirror as well.
Well, I don't know if he was working on that.
Well, I mean, when you get it, he got it.
Yeah. God works in amazing ways.
It's amazing. It's a reflection. Wow.
All right, let's go on.
Amazing.
It also works in the positive.
Yeah.
It also works in the positive. Seeing positive traits displayed is a good reflection. You see somebody doing something right? That's good. You should feel good about that. Why did God let you see somebody do something so meritorious? Wow, that's great. You take part of that, okay? This should rid us of any jealousy issues as well, because you don't be jealous. How come that person was zoche to merited to do that mitzvah and I wasn't? No. That's not what we're here for. Okay? You see someone else successful, that's your success. It's great for you guys. God is showing something to you. Since what you see in that person is also inside of you, that means it should be easy for you. It should be easy to fully rejoice in another's success because it's your success. Okay? That's a huge thing. Don't forget it. It's all a mirror. Just reflecting back to you your own setbacks and your successes. Wow. It's a good reflection. Okay? That's why we say Siman Tov or Mazel Tov. Something happens good, you go Mazel Tov. What does that mean, Mazel Tov? Good flow. I mean, not just good flow to that person. It's everybody. It's good flow. It's good flow. Definitely when a glass breaks in the house. You always got to say Mazel Tov. Okay? The Besh goes further to this rule that when you find it in yourself and you change it, you will no longer see that blemish in that person. Either the person will be out of your life altogether or you won't see them that way again. I think I said that already on the previous page.
But it's good to repeat it.
Yeah. 1 second, make a note. Okay. In my opinion, this rule applies to only those in your direct environment. So to answer the question, what about Saddam Hussein or Yamach Shamo Hitler? Okay? In my opinion, this rule only applies to those who are in your direct environment. Those people who are around you, who you not through cell phones and internet. To hear on news about some cruel dictator, right, is a tall order and responsibility to face, I would think. I'm just saying, in order to not go so big, right, just take it small. At least it'll help us in our mentality. Because if you think you got to solve the problem with, Saddam Hussein or some dictator in, what's that place, Venezuela, okay? Deal with the dictator of Venezuela, which we can deal with. We can. We'll get to there. We're all in training. We're going to deal with him. We're going to deal with him, okay? Although probably true, because I'm thinking now, since the world is very globalized, and that the faults in some people in wherever they are, it is a reflection. Because why were you exposed to it? So you're right, but I'm just thinking it's just too tall an order. So, to utilize this dynamic, let's just localize it to our own sphere, our own local sphere of experience, okay? Direct experience, not outside, okay? So therefore, I feel that the redemption of the world depends on this insight. If we were to behave with this fact deeply embedded in all of our consciousness, there would be no more gossip or lashon hora. Because why? I'm not going to talk bad about you. I'm not going to tell you something bad about someone else. Because you know why? If I'm telling you something bad about someone else, what am I doing? I'm talking about my own perception and what I saw. Hey, I saw the reflection of this person doing such and such. Wow, that's something in you. Okay? You just told me, thank you for sharing. That's the common phrase. Thank you for sharing. Okay? In other words, you told me so much about yourself. You're not allowed to believe it in that person, by the way. No one's allowed to, the laws of lashon hora are very intricate. Books on it. Somebody tells you that you couldn't escape some juicy piece of flesh, a gossip, big piece of gossip, right? Instantly, you just don't accept it as true. Okay? That's for sure about that person. Okay? That's the law. Okay? And if you have the guts to tell that person, that was really not right for you to say something bad about something, then you should do so. Okay? Because you have to stop people from speaking lashon hora. But sometimes it's hard. You're in a group and you can't get out. You're stuck in a table and someone blurts out something and you couldn't move away. If you're in a group and you can get away from people who are just starting to do that, you just move. You just get out. It's dangerous. Get the heck out of there, man. Run. Because you're not supposed to, because, some people they just want to focus on people's faults all day. All right? And they have nothing else to talk about. Thank God for Torah, because you got plenty to talk about when you're learning Torah, right? If you're engrossed in Torah, you should only be associated with people involved, engaged in loving Torah. But in any case, when a person is going to go ahead and say over something to you that's derogatory about someone, they're only telling you about themselves. So therefore, if I knew that, let's say I know this rule, I'm not going to tell you what I saw somebody bad, because I know that I'm just talking about myself. So of course I'm not even going to share it with you, because I know it's just myself. So therefore, I'm not even going to say it. Definitely, you're not going to hear it, and I'm definitely not going to say it. So therefore, lashon hora, which one of the things that the destruction of the temple was because of lashon hora, we have solved the problem. Yeah.
So when a person is ripping you, and you're not ripping them back,
I don't know what ripping means. Is that with a motorcycle?
It means tearing you up. They're just tearing you down. And everything.
Oh, you mean they're criticizing you?
Are you permitted to say, hey, I'm a reflection of who you really are?
Yeah, you're just like, no, you see, one of my gimmicks is that I would like to create, on my long list of, I have a long list of things to do, of things to make. One of them is, I got a chain thing. I actually made one for myself. But I don't carry it, but I'd like to carry it so I can pull it out sometimes. One side is an ink blot, and the other side is a mirror. So you can just go and say, somebody criticizing you, you just pull this out here and you just, what do you say? Talk to the mirror.
Talk to the hand.
Well, now we have a different phrase. Not talk to the hand, it's talk to the mirror. You're sharing so much about yourself. Thank you. Okay? Talk to the mirror. That's the new phrase. Okay? No more criticizing, because it's just talk to the mirror. Talk to the mirror.
And the
Okay?
ink blot, so they'll
The
be
Terminator.
perspective.
What?
And the ink blot on the other side is for them to
For you to understand and him to understand, and maybe it's a conversation piece, but it's all, he's only bringing from his own stuff. He only sees in you his own faults. He only sees his own faults. Thank you. Talk to the mirror. It's all an ink blot. Okay? It's all an ink. What's your ink blot, buddy? That's on my shirt. I couldn't dig them out. I didn't have time today. What's your ink blot is a t-shirt I have. Okay? What's your ink blot? Okay? Because it's all about your ink blot. You're bringing to the ink blot only coming from your own knowing. So, hey. You can't be criticizing anymore. You got to be on a certain level. Rabbi Nachman says, you can't be bringing a rebuke, doing rebuke. But nobody really is in the level of these days to do rebuke. Okay? There you go. You got the mirror. That's good, right? Yes, you do. Thank you. Talk to the mirror. You're my first experiment. Go tell me how it works out for you. Okay.
Yeah, I'd be real curious.
I'd be cautious.
Just a limit. You can have a nice gold chain. You can really have a nice design. You can have a whole array. Sell it in the jewelry stores all up and down. Make millions. Okay? That's Dan Coleman. That's your next mission. Okay? I've got a whole list of items we can sell on eBay. Okay? Okay, or Amazon. Okay, going back. Right? We are taught that our holy temple in Jerusalem was destroyed because of baseless hatred and evil tongue. We harbored hatred in our hearts for people, hated them for no reason. Why? It's never really no reason. There's never such a thing that you absolutely have no reason. People always will hook it on something. They're not verified. They're not legitimate in terms of the Torah perspective and reality. But a person always will hate a person. He'll always find a reason to hook it. Okay? There's always an excuse. Right? We'll call it, they're lame excuses.
Yeah.
My Rosh Yeshiva said that. They're lame. They're excuses. They're reasons. It's not baseless, just because. The guy always finds a reason.
Yeah.
You know, he has more or whatever it is, or he has this, or he has that, or he has that. They always find there's always a reason. But that obviously goes out the window. An evil tongue goes out the window, like we've been discussing. If we were to fully grasp this cosmic mirror and altered view of reality, how would we dare think or say something bad about someone, knowing that it's all about us? It's just a reflection of me. Okay? End of story. That's why his teachings bring the redemption. Okay? And it's not all of what we've learned from all of those self-help books and psychology. I don't know where they filtered it from, but it came from him. Okay? Ezer Connect actually came from the Torah, what he revealed in the Torah. Right? Ezu ha'acham halomein mikol adam. Or the verse Ezer Kenegdo. Well, let's make a help against him. Okay? Help against him is the mirror. Okay? It's really what he revealed in the Torah already. It's been there. Okay? So, going on the next page. If we find ourselves...
What next?
You don't have it.
No.
Oh, let's wait.
That's
Pause.
the end of it.
I hope we have other copies here. No, not those.
Oh, these ones?
Yeah, should be those.
You got exactly the street.
Okay,
Oh,
perfect.
I got this.
No, not the last page. Do we have the last page? Turn it over. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, starts with so.
I've got the last page.
Right, you have it? How did you have it? Good. Do you have it? So if we find ourselves getting caught, do you have it?
There's 2 extra pages.
Okay, there you go.
Page
Fine.
so
Yeah,
we
yeah,
get the
okay.
proverbial smack.
Okay.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
No, it's so if we find ourselves getting caught up in a blame
At
game.
the top of the second page.
Second page, yeah.
Top of the second page.
Not the back, but the second
We find
actual
out
piece
they're
of
getting
paper.
caught up in a brand new-
That's it.
Yeah.
So if we find ourselves getting caught up in a blame game and reacting, this guy is crazy or she is so mean, one must begin to consider, why is God sending me this experience? When we start to realize that it's all a mirror, suddenly all hate and gossip go out the window. It's God reflecting back to us. And then all of a sudden, if you want to go blow off steam with a friend, that friend knows about the mirror thing. And it's really going to be only you're talking about yourself and what's inside of you. And that friend's going to help you to bring it out and get clarity. But it's no longer going to be, I got to blow off steam because what this person did to me, or this person insulted me, or this person didn't say hello to me today. Okay? Once again, it's just that whole thing of like, you're only, when you see faults, it's your faults. It's God reflecting back to us where we need to grow. Not to get down on ourselves, God forbid. You can't get blown away by it to the point where you'll get saddened or depressed, God forbid. But understanding the tool. Since all will be aware of this idea, God willing, speedily in our days, hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully this video will go viral and everybody will get it. Okay? Since all will be aware of this idea, nobody will relate others' flaws to other people. If you find yourself gossiping about so-and-so, God forbid, those listening will nod their heads simply and say, thank you so much for sharing with me all about yourself. Right? Boy, you're that disgusting? I had no idea. People will take a step back when it comes to outwardly criticizing others for their faults, since he is only expressing his mirror image perception. Talk to the mirror. Okay? Really, this topic deserves so much attention, but enough for now. Okay? So here, thus, this is the rule. Who is a wise man? One who learns from every person. Every person meant here literally includes every person, accept and allow them to become your teachers. Okay? Halomed mikol adam, who learns from everybody. You have to make yourself small, pequito. You have to shrink yourself. Allow God more space. Stop eclipsing. Okay? That's another one. People eclipse God because their ego gets in the way. If they were to really be clear, really be, what do you call it? Right? Very low in their soul. Okay? And therefore you can accept teachings from everybody because everybody's there to teach you. Not to get narcissistic. It's only for the sake of growing and becoming a vessel in order to express more of God's light. You have to shrink yourself, okay? So big is this rule that the redemption of the world depends upon it. If the world would only fully integrate this rule instead of getting caught up in the blame game and reacting, this guy is crazy or she's so mean, one must begin to consider, why is God sending me this experience? I think this is the same thing. It was repeated, okay? When we start to realize that it's all a mirror, suddenly all hate and gossip go out the window. It's God reflecting back to us where we need to grow. Not to get down on ourselves, God forbid, but understanding the tool. Since all will be aware of this idea, nobody will relate to others' flaws and people. We did this. All gossip goes out the window, right? I think I did. This is just a completely repeated paragraph, okay? While on the subject of gossip, here is something else that the Best explains on the verse. Don't be a violent witness against your people. Right? Al ti'ed Hamas. Okay? Don't be a violent witness. We know from the Torah that one witness is never acceptable in any court, earthly or heavenly. Right? By the way, if anybody, that's why if there's a court and somebody wants to come and report a crime, let's say in the days of, in Torah rule, right? They want to report a crime, they'll just kick you right out if one person wants to say anything, even though they were an eyewitness. Has to be two people. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. It never existed. Okay? They will not accept it. So, but yet here we say, don't be a violent witness. It's singular. That's the problem here. Okay? It has always needed two witnesses to establish a thing. Al pi shnei edim yakum davar. So how could the verse express it in a single tense? So the answer is that if a person, God forbid, speaks bad about anyone, the wicked prosecuting angel, Satan, drags you to be a witness with him in the heavenly court. You see, right? So now, you together with him are two witnesses, and then judgment is sentenced, God forbid. Okay? In other words, the idea really here is the Satan, the dark forces. They tempt you, and then after they tempt you, job number 2 is to go and prosecute. And then job number 3 is to go in and execute. right? Seduce, prosecute, execute. So if they want to seduce, and let's say they were successful at seducing a person, they need to prosecute, but they can't prosecute if there's only one witness, and there's only him. He's the only witness. You need another witness. He can't even speak to the heavenly court unless there's another witness. How does he get his second witness? When one person speaks lashon hara about somebody, there's my second witness. So you, in essence, a person who is speaking evil about somebody, any derogatory, he becomes the second witness to the Satan in the heavenly court. Thank you much. You bring, that person is responsible for giving the Satan power and bringing judgments upon Israel. Okay? Very heavy. Okay? Very serious. Yeah.
In Zechariah chapter 4, it talks about the two witnesses, or the witnesses that stands with the Lord of the whole earth in Zechariah chapter 4.
I don't know what specific witnesses that is. I do know that there are another two witnesses. Are they good witnesses? Or are they bad witnesses?
They're good.
I know who those witnesses
The
are.
two sons of oil is what they're referred to.
I know who they are.
Witness.
I know who they are.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you, but it's not on the topic.
Is that,
No. This is about something negative. The Satan has to go and he has to prosecute. He has to go to... The Satan goes before God and he says, so-and-so did this.
like the two
Now, if he doesn't have another witness, they go talk to the hand. Okay? They're going to go, no, you're not acceptable because there's one witness. Get out. But if he has another witness, if there's two witnesses, of course, then his testimony is acceptable.
It's true.
So there, who is that second witness? It's you, God forbid. If a person speaks lashon hara about somebody, those words become the testimony in heaven. And you and Satan are together both testifying in the heavenly court. Even though you're down here just saying gossip to somebody about so-and-so, in the heaven, your soul is up there going blah, 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 and accepted witnesses and brings judgment and upon him. And then a judgment is, of course, upon you because they open up your file as well. Okay, just a little bit more. Let's finish this sentence here. So really, this topic deserves so much attention, but enough for now. If you are finding yourself caught up in judging others, there is something very important you must know. Okay, and that's what we'll get into. Okay? All right, we'll stop here.
Wow. So, let's talk about your schedule.
Which one?
Which one?
The classes that come after this.
Let's